900 strikes in 12 hours, day 1. 20 weapon systems, most never fired in combat. $3.7 billion, the first 100 hours. The kill chain. Today, we enter the arsenal of Operation Epic Fury, the largest American air campaign since 2003. Here at the kill chain, we dissect the weapons that shape warfare using official records. Before the first weapon fired, consider this. Mountains will shake and costs will stagger. On February 14th, the Pentagon began the largest Middle East military buildup since the Iraq invasion. Carriers repositioned, bomber wings deployed forward, THAAD batteries were pre-staged across 4 Gulf nations. F-22 Raptors deployed to Israel's Avda Air Base for the first time. This was not a drill. What would you have done, commanding Iran's air defenses, knowing this armada was assembling against you? CENTCOM designated the American component Operation Epic Fury. Israel named theirs Operation Roaring Lion. The opening salvo began precisely at 9:45 a.m. Tehran time on February 28th. Cyber Command and Space Command moved first, blinding Iran's ability to see and respond. Inside Iran, internet connectivity dropped to 4%. Government websites went dark within minutes. Before the first bomb landed, Iran was already fighting blind. This was deliberate doctrinal sequencing. The LUCAS kamikaze drone represented perhaps the most ironic weapon debut in modern military history. The Pentagon captured an Iranian Shah drone, reverse-engineered it, and built something more precise. At $35,000 per unit, LUCAS cost less than a single interceptor missile used against it. Task Force Scorpion Strike, formed months earlier under Special Operations Command, conducted the first launch. These drones loitered for hours over contested airspace, probing air defenses before striking radar installations. The sources here are remarkably transparent. CENTCOM published detailed fact sheets within 72 hours of launch. What strikes us reviewing these documents is the doctrinal precision. Every system served a role. Phase 1 was suppression. EA-18G Growler electronic attack aircraft jammed Iranian radar networks across the country. Consistent with joint doctrine, suppress the enemy's ability to see and respond before the first kinetic strike. Phase 2 was decapitation. The opening strike killed Supreme Leader Khamenei at the Leadership House compound. Netanyahu had informed Trump of Khamenei's location just 5 days earlier. The intelligence window was narrow. Of all operational decisions that week, this targeting choice was most consequential and debated. The Tomahawk cruise missile, proven across 3 decades of conflict, led the kinetic phase. Hundreds of Tomahawks fired from submarines and surface ships across the Arabian Sea and Red Sea. Their targets, air defense sites, nuclear facilities, missile infrastructure, and command nodes across Iran. Now the bomber force. This is where the campaign's true destructive scale becomes apparent. B-1B Lancers struck Iranian missile sites from Diego Garcia and Gulf region bases with precision. The AGM-158B JASS Semiar is a stealth cruise missile with a range exceeding 500 miles. It penetrates defended airspace autonomously, navigating to its target without pilot guidance after release. B-52H bombers, some older than their pilots' fathers, launched these weapons from standoff range. The Air and Space Forces magazine analysis notes this was a real-world testing ground for untried systems. What makes this campaign remarkable is the simultaneous combat debut of multiple weapons platforms. The F-22 Raptor had never deployed to Israel for combat operations. Epic Fury changed that overnight. About a dozen F-22s from Joint Base Langley deployed to Avda, securing air superiority with stealth dominance. The Raptor's role was not strike. It ensured no Iranian fighter challenged bomber corridors. F-15E Strike Eagles and F-35A Lightning fighters handled the bulk of tactical strike missions. The venerable A-10 Thunderbolt was present, though CENTCOM has not detailed its specific missions. 6 E-3 Sentry AWACS aircraft provided airborne command and battle management across the theater. The tanker fleet was equally critical. Without aerial refueling, the bomber missions were impossible. Now we reach the weapon that may define this conflict's place in military procurement history. The Precision Strike Missile, known as PrSM, made its combat debut during Epic Fury. Developed by Lockheed Martin, PrSM strikes targets 500 kilometers away with GPS precision. This range was impossible under the INF Treaty. Trump's withdrawal in 2019 made PrSM development legal. CENTCOM confirmed the use in a social media post showing PrSM launching from HIMARS in the theater. The weapon, a Cold War treaty forbade for 30 years, had just announced itself. ATACMS, the older system PrSM is replacing, also saw extensive action. It sank an Iranian submarine. Using a ballistic missile to sink a submarine was unprecedented. The targeting chain required extraordinary coordination. The naval dimension of Epic Fury was devastating. CENTCOM reported striking 90 Iranian naval vessels. Iran's navy, already modest by regional standards, was effectively eliminated as a fighting force within days. SM-2, SM-3, and SM-6 naval interceptors from the destroyer fleet provided layered Gulf air defense. Approximately 180 naval interceptors were fired in 2 weeks. Remaining stocks diminished rapidly. This munitions expenditure rate will be studied for decades. It exposed a strategic vulnerability. Any future commander's memoir will certainly dwell on the terrifying interceptor arithmetic. The numbers were alarming. Iran's retaliation was not trivial. 500 ballistic missiles and 2,000 drones launched by day 4. Each interceptor cost millions. Each Iranian Shahid drone cost a fraction. The arithmetic was brutal. THAAD provided the upper-tier missile defense shield across the Gulf nations. Its engagement altitude reaches 93 miles. Batteries were prepositioned in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, and Kuwait before the first shot was fired. Roughly 40 THAAD interceptors were fired. At $1 billion per battery, this was unsustainable. The largest American loss was THAAD radar components across 3 nations. Value: $2 billion. The sources here are conflicting. CENTCOM claims high intercept rates. Independent monitors report significant gaps in coverage. Patriot batteries fired 90 interceptors across the theater. These combat-proven systems empty their magazines quickly. Israel's David sling and arrow systems protected Israeli cities from Iranian ballistic missile strikes. The combined defensive architecture was the most complex missile shield ever assembled in combat. Here is what conventional military analysis misses. The defensive costs vastly exceeded the offensive drone costs. This is what military economists call the cost-exchange ratio problem. It haunts every modern air defense planner. The MQ-9 Reaper drone fleet conducted persistent surveillance and precision strikes throughout the campaign's duration. Operating alongside the smaller LUCAS drones, Reapers provided the targeting intelligence for surgically precise strikes. Admiral Cooper called the LUCAS drones indispensable. That single word carries enormous defense procurement implications. Defense Secretary Hegseth had mandated unleashing drone dominance months before. Epic Fury was the validation test. By day 10, CENTCOM reported more than 5,000 targets struck across 29 of Iran's 31 provinces. Tehran endured the heaviest bombardments. Independent monitors documented nearly 2,000 distinct strike events. Iran's drone output, once its asymmetric trump card, dropped 95% as factories were destroyed. General Kane emphasized that Cyber Command and Space Command were not supporting roles. They were first movers. They layered non-kinetic effects, disrupting and degrading Iranian military communications before physical strikes began. IRGC-linked media outlets were hacked. Tasnim News reportedly displayed anti-regime messages during the opening hours. Electronic warfare draws a direct line to Sun Tzu's oldest principle: blind your enemy first. 3 Americans were killed during the campaign. Their aircraft was lost over Iranian territory. No official records explain what brought the aircraft down. We work with incomplete information. The B-2 spirit is central to understanding the campaign's most dramatic chapter. 4 flew the opening mission. They flew non-stop from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, round trips spanning thousands of miles. Each B-2 costs over $2 billion. Only 21 exist. Losing one is catastrophic. 1945's analysis describes how stealth aircraft decapitated Iran's air defenses in 72 hours. The stealth platform struck Iranian S-300 air defense batteries before those systems could acquire targets. This was the most comprehensive destruction of an integrated air defense system since Iraq in 1991. With Iran's eyes blinded and its shields shattered, the campaign's most devastating phase was about to begin. The GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator, 30,000 pounds, designed to reach targets 200 feet underground. Only the B-2 Spirit can carry it, only 2 fit per aircraft, one purpose. 14 of these weapons struck Fordo and Natanz, Iran's most hardened nuclear enrichment facilities. The mountains above shook. Seismic monitors across the region registered the impacts as artificial earthquakes. The largest B-2 operational strike in Air Force history. The weapon performed exactly as designed. CSIS analysis confirms the strikes ended Iran's near-term nuclear capability. The centrifuge halls were buried. But the human cost demands acknowledgement. A reported 1,000 killed in 17 days. Amnesty International documented a strike on a school killing over 100 children. This demands documentation. Any honest assessment of these weapons must weigh capability against consequence. We do not flinch. Total campaign cost through the first 100 hours, $3.7 billion, $900 million per day. U.S. military asset losses in 2 weeks totaled $3.84 billion, mostly THAAD equipment. The Pentagon redeployed THAAD batteries from Asia to replace destroyed Gulf systems. Iran achieved strategic effect. Newsweek reported Iran scored a victory by forcing America to weaken its Pacific defense posture. This is the doctrine moment. Epic Fury's cost-exchange ratio will reshape procurement for decades. When a $35,000 drone forces expenditure of a $10 million interceptor, the math becomes unsustainable. Future defense budgets will cite Epic Fury, proving cheap autonomous swarms defeat expensive interceptors. Hudson Institute assessed Iran's declining capabilities by week 2. Strategy shifted to proxy retaliation. Hezbollah, Hamas, and Houthi proxies launched coordinated retaliatory attacks, widening the conflict beyond Iran's borders. By day 17, explosions continued echoing across Iran, Israel, and multiple other Middle Eastern nations. The administration said fighting could last weeks longer. The arsenal's depth was tested to exhaustion. So what does this arsenal tell us? Not about Iran, but about the future of warfare itself. Operation Epic Fury demonstrated that cyber and electronic warfare are now the opening act, not supporting players. It proved that cheap autonomous drones can impose catastrophic costs on defenders using sophisticated interceptor missiles. Stealth aircraft remain operationally decisive for suppressing air defenses in the campaign's opening hours. It revealed even the world's most advanced military burns through precision munitions at unsustainable rates. When similar confrontation arises and planners consult their playbook, Epic Fury will be Chapter 1. Not because it was perfect, because it exposed every assumption about air campaigns to reality. 20 weapon systems, 72 hours, the most expensive military lesson in history, the math changed. If this analysis reshaped your understanding of modern combat, share it with someone who needs it. The weapons spoke. The question now is whether anyone listened to what they actually said.